The message arrived on a quiet Tuesday afternoon, broadcasting simultaneously across every communication channel on Earth. Dr. Sarah Chen was reviewing satellite data at the SETI Institute when her monitors erupted with activity. The signal was unlike anything they'd ever seen, crystalline in its clarity, elegant in its simplicity. "We come in peace," the message began, transmitted in perfect English and every other major Earth language simultaneously. "We are the Meridian Confederation, and we wish to help humanity reach its full potential." Sarah's hands trembled as she initiated the verification protocols. After 20 years of searching the stars for signs of intelligent life, the stars had finally answered back. Within hours, the entire planet knew. The Meridians were coming. The UN Security Council convened an emergency session as the alien ship entered the solar system. Dr. Chen, now thrust into the role of humanity's foremost expert on Meridian communications, sat in the gallery watching the proceedings. The ship's approach was unlike anything their scientists had predicted. No massive energy signatures, no reality-bending propulsion systems. It simply appeared at the edge of their solar system and began a leisurely cruise toward Earth, as if taking a Sunday drive through space. Admiral James Harrison, head of Earth's newly formed United Defense Force, stood before the council. They're making no attempt to hide their approach, no evasive maneuvers. Either they're completely confident in their technological superiority, or this truly is a peaceful contact. His expression suggested he believed the former. The Meridian ship arrived exactly when they said it would, settling into orbit with impossible grace. It was beautiful, a gleaming construct of what appeared to be living metal, shifting and flowing like liquid mercury. A delegation would arrive on Earth within 24 hours, they announced, to begin diplomatic relations. The landing site was chosen, a neutral location in New Zealand, far from major military installations. Sarah watched through binoculars as the shuttle descended, her heart pounding. The craft touched down silently, its surface rippling like water before stabilizing. The being that emerged looked almost human, but not quite. Tall and elegant, with silvery skin that seemed to catch and reflect light in impossible ways. Its eyes were deep pools of swirling violet, and when it smiled, Sarah felt a shiver run down her spine. "I am Executor Ven," it announced, its voice carrying a musical quality that seemed to bypass their ears and resonate directly in their minds. "We have watched humanity for some time, and we believe you are ready to join the greater galactic community." The next few weeks were a whirlwind of diplomatic meetings, technological demonstrations, and cultural exchanges. The Meridians offered everything humanity had ever dreamed of: clean energy, medical advances, faster than light travel. Their generosity seemed limitless, their patience endless. But Sarah noticed things, small things at first. The way the Meridians always seemed to be guiding conversations in certain directions. How they subtly discouraged questions about other alien civilizations. The strange terms buried in the treaties they proposed, granting them oversight of Earth's technological development. For our own safety. She shared her concerns with Admiral Harrison one evening, after yet another round of negotiations. They stood on the balcony of the UN building, watching the Meridian ship gleam in the night sky. "They're too perfect," she said. "Every answer is exactly what we want to hear. Every solution precisely what we need. It's like they've done this before," Harrison finished, his voice grim. "Multiple times." Sarah nodded slowly. "We're not the first civilization they've helped, are we?" Harrison pulled out his tablet, showing her classified images from deep space telescopes. Distant worlds, once teeming with civilization, now eerily uniform. Standardized. Meridianized. "Peace through uniformity," he muttered. "They don't conquer with weapons, Dr. Chen. They do it with kindness, with gifts, with solutions to all our problems. Until one day you wake up and realize you're not your own civilization anymore. You're just another branch of theirs." In the sky above, the Meridian ship pulsed with a gentle, soothing light, like a parent watching over sleeping children. or a farmer watching over livestock. What do we do? Sarah whispered. Harrison's jaw tightened. We accept their gifts, their technology, their knowledge. But we start preparing, because sooner or later they'll show their true face, and when they do, humanity needs to be ready. That night, Sarah couldn't sleep. She stood at her window, watching the alien ship drift overhead, its light promising peace, progress, perfection. But now she saw it for what it was, a sword of Damocles, hanging by a thread of false friendship. Humanity had reached for the stars, and the stars had reached back. But their embrace was that of a boa constrictor, gentle at first, tightening so slowly you didn't notice until it was too late. The Meridians had offered peace, but Sarah Chen and James Harrison had seen the truth. It was peace at a price that would cost humanity its very identity. The real question was, how long could they maintain the charade of acceptance while preparing for the inevitable moment when peace would no longer be an option? 6 months after first contact, the changes on Earth were both subtle and profound. Meridian advisors had integrated themselves into every major government institution, their presence always accompanied by generous technological gifts and solutions to long-standing problems. Commander Maya Santos watched from her office at the Pentagon as another Meridian shuttle descended, its liquid metal surface catching the morning sun. As head of Earth's cybersecurity division, she'd witnessed firsthand how the aliens had transformed their defense systems. Everything was more efficient now, more secure, more Meridian. Her computer chimed with an incoming message, encrypted, using the new quantum protocols the Meridians had gifted them. The sender was Dr. Chen. Found something. Need to meet. The old way. The old way meant no digital traces, no modern technology. Maya smiled grimly. Some habits from her Special Forces days died hard, like keeping a vintage 1960s typewriter in her office. She typed out her response on actual paper. Midnight, Jefferson Memorial. That night, Maya found Sarah Chen already waiting by the memorial, Admiral Harrison at her side. The monument's classical architecture stood in stark contrast to the gleaming Meridian structures that had begun appearing in major cities worldwide. Show her, Harrison said quietly. Sarah pulled out a manila envelope. Paper again. How quaint. And handed over a series of photographs. They showed different planets, different civilizations, all at various stages of what the Meridians called uplift. These were taken by our deep space telescopes before the Meridians disabled them for upgrades, Sarah explained. Look at the progression. Maya studied the images. Each world showed the same pattern. Initial contact, technological gifts, integration of advisors, and then uniformity. Cities rebuilt in Meridian architectural styles. Populations relocated to more efficient urban centers. Local cultures slowly fading away. There's more, Harrison added. We managed to intercept some of their internal communications. They don't just call themselves advisors. They use another term in private, shepherds. Maya felt her blood run cold. And we're the sheep. It gets worse, Sarah continued. Remember those efficiency protocols they implemented in our major industries? They're not just optimizing production. They're slowly restructuring our entire economy to make us dependent on Meridian supply chains. Harrison nodded grimly. Every gift comes with strings. Every solution creates a new dependency. They're not conquering us. They're assimilating us. A group of tourists passed by, their conversations buzzing with excitement about the latest Meridian technology release. Personal force fields were all the rage now, keeping people safe from accidents and violence. Nobody seemed to question why the fields could only be activated or deactivated by Meridian control centers. We're not the first, Sarah said softly, but we might be the last who can still fight back. The Meridians made a mistake with us. They assumed our divisions were our weakness. They didn't realize that diversity is our strength, Maya finished. Our stubborn refusal to all think the same way, to all live the same way. The very thing they're trying to engineer out of us. Harrison pulled out a small notebook. "We've been identifying potential allies. Military personnel, scientists, politicians, people who see through the facade. We're calling it Operation Pandora." "Why Pandora?" Maya asked. "Because, like the myth, we're about to open something that can never be closed again. But remember, in the original story, at the bottom of Pandora's box was hope." Maya studied the list of names. Small cells, distributed globally, connected only through old-school methods the Meridians would never think to monitor. Primitive by their standards. Human. A Meridian shuttle passed overhead, its soft light bathing them in an almost beatific glow. The aliens had mastered the art of making their presence feel comforting, protective, parental. "They think they're uplifting us," Maya said, "guiding us toward their version of perfection. But they don't understand human nature. We don't want to be uplifted. We want to climb on our own, to fall, to get back up, to find our own way. The question is," Sarah added, "how many others will see it that way?" The Meridians' influence grows daily. Their technologies are addictive. Their solutions are seductive. "Then we show them the truth," Harrison declared. "Not all at once. They're monitoring mass communications, but person by person, cell by cell. We build a resistance that understands what real peace means." Maya looked at the photos again, at worlds that had lost their soul to a benevolent conquest. "How long do we have?" "Based on the patterns we've seen. Maybe a year before their influence becomes irreversible. They're already pushing for what they call governmental streamlining, basically dissolving national boundaries in favor of Meridian administrative sectors." The three stood in silence, watching their breath mist in the cold night air. Above them, Meridian ships drifted like guardian angels, their light a constant reminder of their protection. "We'll need to be careful," Maya said finally. "Smart. They're watching for obvious resistance, but they don't expect subtlety from us. They think we're too primitive for that." Harrison smiled for the first time that night. "That's their biggest mistake. They look at our technology and think we're children. They don't realize that humanity has been practicing the art of resistance since we first picked up sticks and stones." "Tomorrow," Sarah said, "we start reaching out to our first contacts. Slowly, carefully. We build our network while maintaining perfect cooperation on the surface." Maya nodded, her military training already kicking in. Planning routes, safe houses, communication methods. "We play their game of peace," she said, "while we prepare for war." The Jefferson Memorial stood silent witness to their conspiracy, its classical columns a reminder of another time when humanity had fought for its independence. History, it seemed, had a way of rhyming. The Meridians had offered humanity peace, but it was becoming clear that sometimes peace was just another word for surrender. The first sign that the Meridians' mask was slipping came during what should have been a routine protest in Mumbai. A group of local farmers had gathered to oppose the agricultural optimization program that was forcing them off their ancestral lands. The Meridians' response was swift, efficient, and terrifying. Dr. Marcus Rodriguez, part of Maya's resistance network, watched the footage in horror. The Meridian peacekeepers hadn't used weapons. They never did. Instead, their crowd control fields had simply paralyzed everyone in the area. Men, women, children, all frozen in place while Meridian ships descended and methodically collected them for re-education. None of the protesters had been seen since. Marcus encrypted the footage using pre-digital methods and sent it through the Resistance's network. Within hours, similar reports began flowing in from around the globe. Brazil, Nigeria, Indonesia. Anywhere people dared to resist the Meridian's perfect vision for humanity's future. In her Pentagon office, Maya received the reports with growing dread. She grabbed her secure line. An actual copper wire telephone the Meridians considered too primitive to monitor, and called Harrison. "They're accelerating the timeline," she said without preamble. "The Mumbai incident wasn't a mistake. It was a test." "Agreed." Harrison's voice was grim. "They're testing how much force they can use without triggering widespread resistance. Did you see the official news coverage? Maya had. The Meridian-controlled media had portrayed it as a peaceful relocation, showing smiling farmers voluntarily boarding ships for career retraining. The coverage never showed the paralysis fields or the screaming children. "We've lost contact with Dr. Chen," Harrison continued. "Her entire family disappeared last night. Official story says they've been selected for an advanced cultural exchange program." Maya's blood ran cold. Sarah had been getting close to something in her research. Too close, apparently. "How many more?" she asked. "Dozens. All key figures who've shown even slight resistance. Scientists, military personnel, community leaders. The Meridians are cleaning house." A soft chime interrupted their conversation, the sound of an incoming priority message from Executor Ven. Maya's hand hovered over the accept button. "They're watching you," Harrison warned. "Let them watch," Maya replied, and accepted the call. Executor Ven's face appeared on her screen, as perfect and serene as ever. But now Maya could see past the beautiful facade to the cold calculation beneath. "Commander Santos," Ven's voice carried its usual musical quality. "We hope you're well. We've noticed some concerning patterns in your recent activities." Maya kept her face neutral. "Indeed. Your division's efficiency metrics have dropped 3.2% below optimal levels. Additionally, your personal participation in Meridian enhancement programs has been minimal. I've been focused on maintaining our existing security protocols," Maya replied carefully. "Admirable, but unnecessary. The Meridian systems we've provided are perfect as they are. They require no human oversight." Ven's smile remained unchanged, but their eyes hardened. "We wonder if perhaps you need some time away to reflect, to understand the bigger picture." Maya recognized the threat for what it was, the same offer given to Sarah and the others before they vanished. "That won't be necessary," she said. "I'll review the efficiency protocols immediately." "Excellent." Ven's expression softened. "We only want what's best for humanity, Commander. Surely you understand that." The call ended, leaving Maya staring at her reflection in the dark screen. She quickly typed out a message on her typewriter. "They know. Initiate darkness protocol." Across the globe, resistance cells went dark, switching to their most secure communication methods. In Seoul, a flower shop owner arranged her blooms in patterns that contained coded messages. In Cairo, street vendors sold newspapers with classified ads that meant nothing to normal readers, but everything to those who knew the key. In Rio, graffiti artists sprayed seemingly random tags that detailed Meridian patrol routes. The resistance had anticipated this moment. They'd prepared for it. But the speed of the Meridian's shift from benevolent advisors to obvious oppressors had caught even them by surprise. That evening, Maya met with what remained of the Resistance's core leadership in an old bomb shelter 20 meters beneath Washington, D.C. The location was shielded from Meridian sensors by layers of lead and copper, materials their scanning technology considered too primitive to penetrate deeply. "They're not even trying to hide it anymore," Colonel Wei Chen, Sarah's brother, reported. "The administrative restructuring they announced this morning. It's martial law in everything but name. They're dissolving national governments and replacing them with direct Meridian oversight." "What about the military?" someone asked. "Those who accepted Meridian upgrades are already under their control," Harrison answered. "The neural interfaces they installed, they're not just for enhanced reaction times. They're control mechanisms." Maya stood, drawing everyone's attention. "We all knew this day would come. The Meridians offered us peace, but what they really wanted was submission. They thought their technological superiority made them invincible, but they made one crucial mistake." She activated a holographic display, ironically, using stolen Meridian tech, showing their global resistance network, thousands of points of light, connected by invisible threads of human determination. They thought humans would choose comfort over freedom, security over self-determination. They thought we'd willingly trade our chaos for their order. She smiled grimly. They were wrong. The resistance leaders looked at each other, years of planning coming down to this moment. They'd known it would come eventually. The day when peace was no longer an option. "Send the signal," Maya ordered. "Operation Pandora begins now." Messages traveled through the old ways: Morse code, signal fires, hidden shortwave radio broadcasts. Across the planet, humans who had chosen freedom over comfortable servitude prepared for what was coming. The Meridians had shown their true face at last. Now humanity would show theirs. And the galaxy was about to learn why you should never mistake human kindness for weakness. In an abandoned subway tunnel beneath New York City, Dr. Raj Patel held up a damaged Meridian force field generator, its liquid metal surface dulled and lifeless. Around him, a team of engineers and hackers worked at salvaged equipment, their faces lit by the glow of vintage computer screens. "They made the same mistake every advanced civilization makes," he announced, carefully dissecting the alien device. "They assumed complexity equals superiority." Maya leaned forward, watching as he separated the components. After 3 months of guerrilla warfare against the Meridians, humanity had learned some surprising things about their oppressors. "Their technology is perfect," Raj continued, "but that's their weakness. It's so perfect, so standardized, that it can't adapt, can't evolve." He grinned, holding up a modified circuit board. "Unlike us." The Resistance had discovered this advantage by accident. During a raid in Singapore, they'd used crude electromagnetic pulses to disable Meridian security systems. The aliens had simply replaced the damaged components with identical ones, never considering that they might need to adapt their technology to prevent future attacks. "Show them," Maya ordered. Raj activated the modified force field generator. Instead of creating the usual defensive bubble, it projected a focused beam that cut through Meridian shielding like it wasn't there. "They never conceived of using their defensive technology as a weapon," he explained. "The thought literally couldn't occur to them." Similar discoveries were happening worldwide. In Lagos, resistance fighters found that Meridian motion sensors could be fooled by simple mirrors. The aliens had never encountered enemies primitive enough to use optical illusions. In Buenos Aires, hackers discovered that Meridian quantum computers were vulnerable to basic logic paradoxes. Their perfect systems couldn't handle deliberate human irrationality. Admiral Harrison's voice crackled over their secure radio. A technology so old the Meridians didn't even recognize it as communication. "Operation Pandora is showing results. Their perfect system is developing cracks." Maya moved to the central planning table, where a paper map, another technology the Meridians considered obsolete, showed their global progress. Red marks indicated successful strikes against Meridian infrastructure. Green showed liberated zones where humans had reclaimed control. "The Meridians don't understand guerrilla warfare," Colonel Wei reported from his cell in Beijing. "They expect direct confrontation, organized resistance. They can't comprehend our apparent chaos." It was true. The Meridians' response to each attack was perfectly coordinated, perfectly logical, and perfectly predictable. They couldn't grasp that humans were intentionally being unpredictable, that our apparent disorder was our greatest strength. In her makeshift command center, Maya received updates from around the world. A group of teenagers in Moscow had discovered that playing certain frequencies of classical music interfered with Meridian communication systems. Australian Aborigines were using ancient pathways unknown to Meridian surveillance to move resistance fighters across the continent. A team of Bollywood stunt performers in Mumbai had found ways to evade Meridian motion tracking using traditional dance movements. "They thought our diversity was a weakness," Maya muttered, studying the reports. "They never realized it made us impossible to truly control." The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Dr. Sarah Chen, who everyone had assumed was lost, suddenly appeared on their secure channel. She'd escaped her Meridian re-education facility and brought with her crucial information. "Their entire system runs on consensus," she explained in a rushed transmission. "Every Meridian decision must be unanimous. They literally cannot comprehend disagreement or deviation. That's why they're so desperate to make us uniform. They can't handle anything else. The revelation transformed their strategy. Instead of trying to defeat the Meridians technologically, they began exploiting this psychological weakness. Resistance cells started acting in deliberately contradictory ways. Some would attack with advanced weapons while others used bows and arrows. Some would employ sophisticated hacking, while others relied on simple sabotage. The Meridians couldn't adapt. Their perfect system began to show signs of strain as it tried to respond to threats that didn't follow any logical pattern. Executor Ven's public broadcasts became increasingly frustrated. "Why do you resist perfection?" they demanded. "Why do you choose chaos over order?" Maya's response, broadcast on all frequencies using modified Meridian technology, was simple. Because chaos is how we grow. Disorder is how we evolve. Imperfection is what makes us human. The resistance's numbers swelled as more people chose messy freedom over perfect submission. Even those who had accepted Meridian upgrades began breaking free, their human adaptability overwhelming the aliens' control protocols. In the command center, Maya watched as another section of the map turned green. Raj's modified force field generators were being replicated worldwide, using everything from advanced 3D printers to backyard forges. Each version was slightly different, making it impossible for the Meridians to develop a universal defense. "They gave us the tools of our liberation," Harrison observed. "They just never imagined we'd use them in such primitive, inefficient, human ways." Maya nodded, remembering Ven's words from their first meeting. The Meridians had offered to help humanity reach its full potential. They just hadn't understood that our potential didn't lie in perfection, but in our endless capacity to adapt, to improvise, to defy expectations. "Prepare for Phase 5, she ordered. "It's time to show them what humanity can really do." Around the world, resistance fighters readied themselves for the final push. They carried weapons both ancient and ultramodern, used strategies both primitive and sophisticated, fought in ways both logical and absurd. The Meridians had sought to perfect humanity. Instead, they were about to learn why perfection was never our goal. We chose to be human instead. The final battle for Earth began not with a bang, but with a song. At precisely midnight GMT, resistance cells across the planet started broadcasting Earth's most chaotic music. Jazz, with its unpredictable improvisations, rock with its raw energy, and traditional music from every culture. The cacophony of human creativity slammed into Meridian communication networks like a tidal wave of disorder. In her command center, Maya watched as the aliens' perfect systems began to glitch and stutter, unable to process the deliberate disharmony. "Now," she ordered, "hit them everywhere." The attack that followed defied every principle of military strategy the Meridians understood. In Tokyo, elderly gardeners used modified pruning tools to disable force field generators. Street dancers in Rio confused motion sensors with elaborate capoeira movements. Indigenous trackers in Kenya led strike teams through paths that didn't exist on Meridian maps. "They're trying to establish a pattern," Harrison reported from his position. "Their tactical computers are burning out trying to predict our movements." That was the beauty of Operation Pandora's final phase. There was no pattern. Every resistance cell was acting independently, using whatever methods worked for them. The only common factor was timing, and the Meridians' increasing confusion. Executor Ven's voice boomed across the global network, showing the first signs of genuine emotion they'd ever displayed. Frustration. "This is illogical. Inefficient. You cannot succeed with such chaos." Sarah Chen, now coordinating the Resistance's scientific division, smiled as she activated their counter-broadcast. "Watch us." Across the planet, humans demonstrated why adaptability trumped perfection. In India, tech workers who'd studied Meridian code revealed that their quantum computers couldn't handle processing human religious philosophies. The concepts of simultaneous contradictory truths caused critical system failures. Resistance fighters began uploading texts from ancient mystics directly into Meridian mainframes. The aliens' perfect consensus began to fracture as their systems encountered human unpredictability in all its forms. Their ships, designed to respond to logical threats, found themselves swarmed by everything from ultra-modern stealth drones to paper airplanes carrying EMP devices. They're retreating from major cities, Colonel Wei reported from Asia. Their prediction matrices have completely failed. They can't distinguish between actual threats and background noise anymore. Maya moved to the central command table, where Raj was demonstrating their latest discovery. Their entire civilization is built on the assumption that advancement means increasing complexity, he explained. They literally cannot comprehend the idea of simplified solutions being more effective. The resistance had weaponized this weakness. For every high-tech Meridian defense, they deployed dozens of low-tech countermeasures. When the aliens established quantum encryption, humans responded with one-time pad ciphers written in children's notebooks. When they deployed nanite swarms, they were defeated by ordinary soap bubbles carrying electromagnetic charges. Their ships are beginning to withdraw from orbit, Harrison announced. Global Meridian presence down by 30% and falling. On her screen, Maya watched as Executor Ven made their final transmission. For the first time, the aliens' perfect facade had cracked completely. You were supposed to be primitive, Ven accused. Your technology was inferior. Your society was chaotic. You were supposed to welcome our perfect order. That was your mistake, Maya replied calmly. You saw our chaos as weakness. You never understood that chaos is our strength. It's how we innovate, how we adapt, how we survive. The Meridian ships were leaving faster now, their perfect formation breaking down as they encountered wave after wave of human unpredictability. Some resistance cells had taken to broadcasting cat videos into their tactical networks. The aliens' logic systems crashed trying to understand why humans would share such pointless information. In the end, it wasn't a single decisive battle that won the war. It was millions of small actions, each unpredictable, each uniquely human. A child's crayon drawing that confused Meridian optical sensors. A folk song that disrupted their communication frequencies. A joke that their AI couldn't process. The last Meridian ship vanished from Earth's orbit exactly 1 year after their first arrival. In its wake, it left a message that made Maya laugh out loud. Your species has been classified as terminally unpredictable. Integration impossible. Recommend quarantine. In the aftermath, humanity began the process of rebuilding. But they didn't discard all the Meridian technology. Instead, they did what humans do best. They adapted it, modified it, combined it with their own innovations in ways its creators had never imagined. They wanted to perfect us, Sarah mused, standing with Maya and Harrison as they watched the sunrise over a liberated Earth. They never understood that our imperfection is what makes us perfect. Maya nodded, thinking of all the different ways humans had fought back. Not with a single perfect strategy, but with countless imperfect ones. Not with uniform action, but with diverse reactions. Not with order, but with beautiful chaos. The Meridians had offered humanity peace through perfection. Humanity had answered by showing them the power of imperfection, the strength of diversity, the unstoppable force of millions of individuals choosing their own paths. They had learned what so many before them had discovered. That humanity's greatest weapon isn't our technology, our intelligence, or our strength. It's our stubborn, chaotic, beautiful refusal to be anything other than human. And somewhere out in the galaxy, that message was spreading. Humanity might have seemed primitive to the Meridians, but we had taught them, and anyone else watching, a crucial lesson. Never mistake simplicity for weakness. Never confuse chaos for vulnerability. And never, ever try to perfect those who have already found strength in their imperfections. Because when you answer peace with control, humanity will answer control with revolution. And we will win.